The sky above the planet Valora looked like a broken mirror. Soft lines of light crossed the clouds, and distant stars flickered through thin cracks in the atmosphere. The world had once been full of music, flying cities, and glowing gardens that stretched across floating platforms. Now it was quiet, not empty but waiting, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. Human soldier Elias Rourke moved slowly across the wide stone path that once led to a grand skyport. His boots made soft sounds against the smooth surface, and every step felt heavier than the last. His suit was damaged. One side of his helmet was cracked, and the display inside blinked with warnings he did not want to read. He had already received the retreat message. All human forces had been ordered to leave the area. The mission was over. The danger level was too high. The sky above still glowed with distant flashes where machines and ships moved far beyond his sight. But Elias was still here. His left leg did not move the way it should. The suit tried to help, sending small bursts of power into the joint, but it only made the movement slow and painful. His breathing sounded loud inside his helmet, like the wind inside a metal tunnel. He stopped near the edge of the path and looked out over the city. Tall towers floated in the air, held up by soft blue energy fields that now flickered and faded. Bridges of light connected them, some still glowing, others broken and drifting like slow-moving clouds. Below, the ground was covered in silver plants that once glowed at night, but now lay dark and still. This place had never been meant for humans. Elias knew that. He had felt it the first time he stepped onto Valora's soil. The air smelled different, sweet and cold at the same time. The light felt softer, like the sun was trying to be gentle instead of strong. He leaned against a broken stone pillar and closed his eyes for a moment. He told himself he would rest for just a few seconds. That was when he heard the sound. It was not loud. It was not sharp or sudden. It was soft, like the sound of glass wind chimes moving in a slow breeze. It came from somewhere nearby, behind the remains of a fallen archway made of glowing white stone. Elias opened his eyes. His training told him to ignore it. His orders told him to leave. His body told him to sit down and stop moving, but something else told him to stand. He pushed himself away from the pillar and walked toward the sound. The fallen archway was cracked down the middle, its glowing lines fading in and out like a tired heartbeat. He stepped carefully around it and looked into the small open space behind it. That was when he saw her. She was sitting on the ground, her long legs folded beneath her in a way that looked uncomfortable but careful. Her skin was a soft shade of pale blue, like moonlight on water. Small lines of light ran across her arms and face, glowing gently like stars that had decided to rest on her skin. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the light of the broken sky above. She was young, not a child, but not fully grown either. Her clothes were made of fine, glowing fabric, torn in a few places, and a small, delicate crown rested slightly crooked on her head. A Velari, not just any Velari, a princess. Elias froze. They stared at each other for a long moment. The air between them felt thick and quiet. He slowly raised one hand, palm open, to show he was not a threat. His suit made a soft, mechanical sound as it moved. The princess tilted her head, studying him. Her glow brightened slightly, not in fear, but in curiosity. She said something in her own language, her voice like soft bells and warm wind. Elias did not understand the words, but the tone was gentle. His suit's translator tried to work, flickering for a moment before producing a rough sound. "Are you alone?" the machine voice said, broken and slow. The princess nodded. She stood up carefully, a little unsteady on her feet. She was taller than he had thought, though still smaller than him. Her glow made the cracked stone around them look warm and alive again. "My name is Lyris," the translator said for her this time, clearer now. "I am far from my home." Elias swallowed. He looked up at the sky, at the distant lights and moving shadows far above. He knew what it meant for her to be here alone, in a place even human soldiers had been ordered to leave. "My name is Elias," he said. "You shouldn't be here." Lyris smiled, a small and tired smile. "Neither should you." That almost made him laugh. He checked his suit systems. His emergency beacon still worked. It blinked a soft red light inside his helmet display. He pointed to it. "I can call my people," he said, "but it might take time." Lyris nodded again. "Time is something we still have," she said. "For now." They stood in silence for a moment. The wind moved through the broken city, making soft sounds as it passed through empty bridges and open towers. The world did not feel dead. It felt like it was waiting to see what they would do. Elias looked at Lyris and then at the long path that stretched away from the skyport into the deeper parts of the city. "Can you walk?" he asked. She took a step forward, then another. She moved slowly, but she did not fall. "Yes," she said, "I can." "Good," Elias replied. "Because I can't carry you very far." Lyris looked at his damaged leg and broken suit. Her glow dimmed slightly, not in fear but in concern. "You are hurt," she said. He shrugged. "I've been worse." That was not exactly true, but he did not feel like explaining. They started walking together. The path took them past gardens that once floated in the air but now rested on the ground, their glowing plants slowly fading. Lyris reached out and touched one of the leaves. It lit up under her fingers, responding to her presence. She smiled again, and for a moment the world felt less broken. Elias watched her as they walked. He had been trained to observe everything. Movement, sound, light, shadows. But now he found himself noticing small things instead. The way Lyris tilted her head when she heard a new sound. The way her glow changed color slightly when she felt calm or curious. "Do humans always wear metal skins?" she asked. He looked down at his suit. "Only when things get dangerous." She thought about that. "Your world must be very dangerous then," he smiled under his helmet. "You have no idea." They reached a narrow bridge made of soft blue light that stretched over a deep drop into the city below. The light flickered, but it still held. Elias stepped onto it carefully. The bridge bent slightly under his weight but stayed solid. Lyris followed, her steps light and careful. Halfway across, Elias felt his suit shudder. The power level dropped for a moment before stabilizing again. He stopped. "Everything okay?" Lyris asked. "Yeah," he said, though he was not sure. "Just tired." They made it across and rested near a tall wall that still glowed with ancient symbols. Lyris touched one of the symbols and it lit up brighter. "This tells a story," she said, "about my people's first journey to the stars." Elias sat down slowly, his leg finally giving him a break. "Sounds like a good story." Lyris began to explain it in simple words, about how her people had once lived on one small world and looked up at the sky, wondering what waited beyond it. How they built their first ships not to conquer, but to understand. Elias listened. For a moment, he forgot about the broken city, the damaged suit, and the blinking retreat message that still waited in his system. Far away, in a place filled with soft golden light and tall crystal towers, the Star Queen of Valora stood before a wide pool of living water. The surface of the pool showed images from across the world. It showed her daughter, and the human walking beside her. The queen's many eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger but in deep focus. She saw the way the human moved slowly, clearly hurt. She saw the way he always walked on the side closer to danger, even when no danger was visible. "This one is different," she said softly to the advisors standing behind her. They did not speak. The queen raised one hand and the pool shifted, showing more of the world around Lyris and Elias. She would watch, and she would remember. Back on the broken path of Valora, the sun began to dip below the horizon, turning the sky into soft colors of blue and gold. Elias stood up again, feeling the weight of his suit, his pain, and the strange, quiet responsibility he now carried. "Come on," he said. "Let's keep moving." Lyris nodded and walked beside him, her soft glow lighting the path ahead. Neither of them knew how far they still had to go, but neither of them turned back. The light of Valora's sun faded slowly, like a gentle hand turning down a lamp. The sky changed from soft blue and gold to deep purple, and then to a dark shade filled with tiny, shining stars. Some of those stars were real, far away in space. Others were floating lights from the broken city, drifting through the air like glowing seeds. Elias and Lyris walked through the quiet streets together. The ground beneath them was smooth and warm, still holding the last touch of sunlight. Tall buildings rose on both sides, their glowing lines now dim and slow like tired hearts. Windows reflected the starlight, showing their small shapes moving through a world that once held millions of lives. Elias felt every step in his leg. The suit helped, but it could only do so much. His breathing was heavier now, and the air inside his helmet felt warm and thick. Lyris noticed. "You are slowing," she said softly. "I always was," Elias replied, trying to smile in his voice. "You just didn't notice." She did not laugh. Instead, her glow changed, becoming a softer, warmer color. "There is a place ahead," she said. "A rest hall. My people built them for travelers." "That sounds perfect," Elias said. "I could use a chair that doesn't try to fall apart." They followed a wide path that curved between two large towers. At the end of it stood a low building shaped like a smooth stone shell. Soft light flowed from thin lines in its walls, and the doors opened on their own as they approached. Inside, the air was warm and clean. The floor felt like soft glass under their feet, and small lights floated near the ceiling, moving slowly like lazy clouds. Elias stepped inside and stopped. For the first time in a long while, he felt safe. He leaned against a wall and slowly slid down until he was sitting on the floor. His suit released a quiet sound as it relaxed some of its support systems. Lyris walked around the room, touching the walls and lights like she was greeting old friends. "This place listens," she said. "It knows when someone is tired." Elias closed his eyes for a moment. "I wish my suit did that. All it knows how to do is tell me I'm broken." Lyris knelt in front of him and looked at his cracked helmet and damaged leg. "My people heal with light," she said. "Not like your machines, but maybe it can still help." Before he could answer, she placed her glowing hands gently on the metal of his suit, right over his injured leg. Elias felt warmth spread through the metal. Not heat, but something softer, like standing near a fire on a cold night. His suit beeped in surprise. "External energy source detected," the system said. The pain in his leg did not disappear, but it faded, becoming a dull ache instead of a sharp reminder. Elias opened his eyes and looked at her. "That's actually really nice." Lyris smiled, looking a little tired now herself. "It takes energy, but you needed it." They sat in silence for a while. The rest hall made soft sounds like distant water and slow wind. The floating lights dimmed slightly, matching the calm mood of the room. Elias reached into a small storage space in his suit and pulled out a ration pack. He opened it and took out 2 small cubes. "Food," he said. "Well, human food." He offered one to Lyris. She studied it carefully, then touched it lightly with one glowing finger. The cube changed color slightly, responding to her energy. "It is curious," she said. "It feels very solid, very certain." "That's one way to describe it," Elias replied. "It's designed to keep us alive, not happy." She took a small bite. Her eyes widened a little. "It is loud." He laughed quietly. "Yeah, that sounds about right." They shared the simple meal, sitting on the smooth floor of the rest hall while the broken world waited outside. Far away in the shining heart of Valora's capital, the Star Queen continued to watch. The pool of living water showed her daughter's soft glow inside the rest hall and the human sitting across from her. The Queen's long, flowing form shifted slightly as she studied the image. "He should have left," one of her advisors said. "His people called him back." "Yes," the Queen replied, "but he did not." She raised one hand and the image zoomed in on Elias' face, tired but calm. "There is a strength in choosing to stay," she said. "Not all power is loud." Outside the rest hall, the night grew deeper. Strange shapes moved in the sky far above, silent and distant. The city system still worked in small ways, sending out soft signals, keeping lights alive, holding bridges together just a little longer. Lyris stood and walked to a large window. "Tomorrow we must cross the low fields," she said. "The ground there shifts, it forgets what shape it is supposed to be." Elias joined her, limping slightly. "That sounds comforting," he said, in a very not comforting way. She smiled at his words, even if she did not fully understand them. They rested that night in the rest hall. Elias' suit created a small shelter around him, and Lyris lay nearby, her glow lighting the space with soft, gentle colors. For the first time since the mission began, Elias dreamed. He dreamed of Earth, of rain falling on green trees, of waves breaking on wide, open beaches, of voices calling his name, not through radios but through open air. He woke to the sound of Lyris humming softly. It was not a song with words, but a simple tune that rose and fell like the tide. "Morning already?" he asked. "The sun is returning," she said. "This world still remembers how to begin again." They left the rest hall and stepped into the early light. The low field stretched before them, wide and open, covered in smooth, silver ground that moved slowly like thick water. Small platforms floated above it, forming a loose path. Elias tested the first one with his foot. It held. They moved from platform to platform, carefully and slowly. The field below shifted and rolled, reflecting the sky in strange, broken patterns. Halfway across, one of the platforms drifted away slightly. Lyris froze. Elias reached out and grabbed her hand. His suit strained, but it held them both steady until the platform drifted back into place. Lyris looked at their joined hands, her glow brightening. "Thank you," she said softly. Any time, Elias replied, though his heart was still beating fast. On the far side of the field, they found an old communication tower, its top broken but its base still active. Lyris touched a panel on its side and it came to life with soft light. "This can send a signal," she said, "to my people." Elias nodded. "Do it." She hesitated. "If I call them," she said, "they will come, and when they come they will see what you did, what you chose." Elias shrugged. "I just didn't want you to be alone." "That is not a small thing," she replied. She placed her hand on the panel, and a beam of soft blue light rose into the sky, cutting through the clouds and stars. Far away, the Star Queen felt it. The pool of living water glowed bright, and the image of her daughter sharpened. "They are calling," an advisor said. "Yes," the Queen replied, "and we are answering." Back on the field, Elias felt his suit vibrate as his own beacon suddenly grew stronger, responding to something in the air. "Looks like we both made a call," he said. Lyris looked up at the sky, her face calm but filled with something like hope. The wind moved through the silver field, carrying the soft hum of distant ships, still too far to see. Elias stood beside her, tired, hurt, but still standing. Whatever came next, they would face it together. And somewhere beyond the clouds, two worlds were already moving closer than they had ever been before. The sky above the silver fields began to change. At first, it was only a soft shimmer, like heat rising from warm stone. Then lines of light appeared, stretching across the clouds in wide, gentle curves. They did not move fast or loud. They moved with calm purpose, like something very old and very sure of itself. Elias and Lyris stood side by side and watched. The wind picked up, not cold, not strong, but steady, carrying a deep, quiet sound that felt more like a heartbeat than a noise. The silver ground below them responded, its surface smoothing and stilling as if the planet itself was listening. "Your people?" Elias asked. Lyris nodded slowly. "Yes, they are near now." Elias felt his suit vibrate again. His own systems were picking up signals, many of them coming from above and far away, human ships, Valoran ships, two kinds of light moving toward the same place. He leaned slightly on his good leg and looked at the sky. "I hope they know how to share the road," he said. Lyris did not understand the words fully, but she felt the meaning. "They will," she replied. "My mother will make sure of it." They did not have to wait long. Shapes began to appear above the clouds, large and slow, like floating islands made of glass and light. Valoran ships did not look like human ships. They did not have hard edges or sharp lines. They curved and flowed, glowing softly as if they were grown instead of built. One of them moved lower than the others. A wide beam of pale blue light reached down and touched the ground near Elias and Lyris. The silver surface rose gently, forming a smooth platform. Lyris took a step forward, then stopped. She looked at Elias. "You should come," she said. "They will want to see you." Elias hesitated. "My people will be here soon too. I don't want to cause any confusion," she smiled. "You already have." He laughed quietly, then nodded. Together they stepped onto the platform. The light lifted them slowly into the air. The world below grew smaller, the broken city and silver fields blending into soft patterns of light and shadow. Elias felt his stomach turn a little, but he kept his balance. His suit adjusted, helping him stand. The platform carried them into the open side of the ship. Inside, the space was wide and bright, filled with soft glowing walls and floating shapes that moved like slow fish in water. The air felt clean and warm, like a gentle spring day. Valoran beings stood in a loose circle, watching them. They were tall and graceful, their bodies glowing in different shades of blue, gold, and soft green. Their eyes were calm, curious, and focused. Lyris stepped forward. "My mother is here," she said. The air seemed to shift. From the far side of the room, a figure moved closer. The Star Queen of Valora was taller than the others, her form made of flowing light and solid shape at the same time. Her skin shone like a night sky filled with stars. A crown of pure energy hovered above her head, slowly turning. Elias had seen her only in images and reflections. In person, she felt like standing near the ocean. Large, deep, and powerful without needing to show it, the queen stopped a few steps away. Her many eyes rested on Lyris first. "My light," she said, her voice soft but full, like many voices speaking as one. "You are safe." Lyris walked to her and placed her hands against the queen's glowing form. Their light blended for a moment, becoming brighter. Then the queen looked at Elias. The room grew very quiet. Elias stood as straight as he could, even though his legs still hurt and his suit felt heavy. "I'm Elias Rurk," he said. Human soldier, I just walked with her. The queen studied him for a long time. You walked when you were called to leave, she said. You stayed when staying cost you comfort and safety. Elias shrugged slightly. It just felt like the right thing to do. The queen turned to the others around her. In our oldest laws, she said, there is a bond called the life promise. It is formed when one soul carries another through danger without being asked. The Valorans around her glowed brighter. Elias shifted uncomfortably. I wasn't trying to start anything. I just didn't want her to be alone. The queen looked back at him. That is how all true bonds begin, she replied. A soft sound filled the ship like distant bells. Outside, through the wide opening, Elias saw shapes of human ships arriving, their lights sharp and steady compared to the soft glow of the Valoran vessels. Two worlds, meeting in the same sky. A human shuttle moved closer and stopped near the Valoran ship. A small platform extended from its side. Human soldiers stepped out, their suits dark and solid, their movements careful and slow. One of them saw Elias and stopped. "Rurk," the voice called through the open air. "You're still standing?" Elias smiled under his helmet. "I had good company." The soldiers looked past him and saw the Star Queen and the glowing Valorans. They froze. The queen raised one hand, and a soft field of light spread between the two groups, not as a wall, but as a gentle space, like a calm breath. "There is no threat here," she said, her voice carried easily even without machines. "Only a meeting." The human commander stepped forward. "We received a signal," he said, "from both our beacon and something else." Lyra stepped beside Elias. "It was me," she said. "I called my people and he called his." The commander looked at Elias. "You were told to leave." "I know," Elias replied. "I just didn't." The commander studied him for a moment, then looked at the queen. The queen's eyes softened slightly. "This human carried my daughter across a world that was breaking," she said. "He gave her warmth when the night was cold. He shared his food when he was tired and hurt. He did not know who she was. He only knew she was alone." The human soldiers shifted, listening closely. "In my people's ways," the queen continued, "this creates a bond, not between two beings, but between two paths. Where one goes, the other remembers." The commander took a slow breath. "What does that mean for us?" he asked. The queen looked at the human ships, then at the Valoran fleet glowing softly in the sky. "It means," she said, "that your world and mine will no longer pass each other like strangers in the dark." She turned back to Elias. "You could have been a shadow in my daughter's story," she said. "Instead, you became its light." Elias felt heat rise in his face. "I was just doing my job." "Sometimes," the queen replied, "the smallest jobs change the largest stories." Lyris reached for Elias' hand again, not in fear this time, but in quiet happiness. The queen raised both her hands, and the light in the room grew brighter. "I declare a life promise," she said, "between Valora and the people of Earth. Let it be known that when one calls, the other will listen." The Valoran ships in the sky responded, their lights pulsing in slow, powerful waves. The human ships' systems beeped and flashed, struggling to understand the signals, but recording them all the same. Elias looked at the commander. "Guess we just made history." The commander let out a short breath that almost sounded like a laugh. "You always had a talent for that, Rurk." Later, as the two groups worked together to guide everyone safely back to the human ships, Elias sat near the edge of the Valoran vessel. Lyris sat beside him, her glow soft and calm. "Will you come back?" she asked. Elias thought about Earth. About rain and oceans and open skies. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I think our worlds will see each other again, even if I don't." She nodded. "That is enough." The Star Queen watched them from a distance. She saw the tired human soldier, still hurting, still quiet, still strong in a way that did not need to be loud. She saw her daughter glowing with new understanding. "The universe grows smaller today," she said softly, "and kinder." The human shuttle doors closed with a gentle sound. As Elias was guided inside, he looked back one last time. Lyris raised her hand and waved. He lifted his own in return. The ships began to move, human and Valoran, side by side, rising into the sky together. Below them, Valora's broken world rested under a blanket of stars, no longer alone in the dark. And in the space between two distant worlds, a simple choice made by one injured human soldier continued to travel, far beyond the reach of any signal, carrying a promise that would not be forgotten. The human medical ship moved quietly through open space, its lights soft and steady against the deep black sky. Outside the windows, Stars passed like slow, shining thoughts. Inside, the ship felt calm, almost like a floating hospital made of gentle sounds and careful steps. Elias Rourke lay on a long white bed in the main medical bay. The hard metal of his suit was gone now, replaced by simple, light clothing. Soft bands of blue light moved slowly over his injured leg and along his side, scanning and repairing, working with quiet patience. A human doctor stood nearby, watching a screen filled with gentle green lines. "You're going to walk just fine," she said. "It will take some time, but you'll be back on your feet. You're lucky." Elias smiled weakly. "I hear that a lot." She finished her checks and stepped away, leaving him alone with the soft hum of the ship and the slow movement of stars outside the wide window. He closed his eyes, but he did not sleep. His mind kept returning to Valora, to the silver fields, to the soft glow of Lyris's hands on his suit, to the way the Star Queen had looked at him, not like a soldier, not like a stranger, but like something important. A soft sound pulled him from his thoughts. The door to the medical bay slid open. At first he thought he was still dreaming. Light filled the doorway, not harsh, not bright, but deep and calm, like a piece of the night sky had decided to walk inside. The Star Queen stepped into the room. Behind her, two smaller Valoran figures waited, their glow low and respectful. Human crew members stood frozen in the hallway, unsure if they should move, speak, or simply breathe. The Queen walked closer to Elias' bed. Her form reflected in the smooth white floor, light and stars flowing through her shape. The air felt different around her, heavier and lighter at the same time. "You rest among your people now," she said. Elias slowly pushed himself up, wincing slightly as his leg protested. "I do," he replied. "It's good to see you again. I didn't expect visitors." The Queen's eyes softened. "Promises do not end when the journey does," she said. "They begin there." She looked around the room at the human machines, the lights, the clean walls. "You heal with tools," she said. "We heal with light, both seek the same thing." Elias nodded. "To keep going." "Yes," she agreed, "to keep becoming." One of the Valorans stepped forward, Lyris. Her glow was brighter than before, steady and warm. She moved quickly to Elias' side, careful not to touch the healing lights around his leg. "You are safe," she said, relief clear in her voice. "Looks like it," he replied. "You came a long way," she smiled. "So did you." The Queen raised her hand, and a soft field of light spread across the room. The human crew outside felt it like a gentle breeze, calm and warm, and they relaxed without knowing why. "I have come to speak," the Queen said, "not as a ruler to a soldier, but as a mother to a person who carried her child through the dark." Elias felt a small knot in his chest. "I just walked with her," he said again, like he always did. The Queen tilted her head slightly. "Do you know what my people believe a path is?" she asked. He shook his head. "We believe a path is not a line on the ground," she said. "It is a story that moves forward, and anyone who steps into that story becomes part of its ending." She reached out, not touching him, but letting her light pass over him like a warm sunrise. "You stepped into ours." Lyris watched, her glow shining softly. The Queen turned her attention to the window, to the stars beyond. "Already my fleets speak with your leaders," she said. "Already our worlds open doors to each other that have been closed for a very long time." Elias raised an eyebrow. "All because I didn't follow orders?" The Queen made a sound that might have been a laugh. "All because you followed something deeper." The days that followed felt like a dream to Elias. He stayed in the medical bay at first, then moved to a small room with a wide window and a soft bed. Human and Valoran visitors came and went. Engineers spoke quietly with glowing beings. Scientists shared images and ideas, hands moving through light and screens at the same time. Elias mostly watched. Lyris visited often. She brought stories of her world, of floating schools where children learned among the clouds, of oceans that glowed at night, of songs that were not sung but shared as patterns of light in the air. Elias shared his own stories, of Earth cities that never slept, of rain that fell in warm sheets during summer, of old trees that stood in the same place for hundreds of years, watching generations grow and fade. One day, Lyris asked a simple question. "Why did you stay?" she said, "when your people told you to leave?" Elias thought about it for a long time. "I think," he said slowly, "I didn't want to be the kind of person who walked away when someone needed company." Lyris nodded. "My people have many words for that, but I like yours better." The Star Queen visited again before the human ship returned fully to Earth space. This time she was not alone. Human leaders appeared on screens around the room, their faces serious but filled with wonder. "We are ready," one of them said, "for this new path." The queen inclined her head. "So are we," she replied. She turned to Elias. "There is one more part of the life promise," she said. "It is not written in our laws, it is written in our hearts." She raised her hand, and a small shape of light formed between her fingers. It drifted forward and stopped in front of Elias. "It is a marker," she said. "Wherever you go, my people will know you, not as a soldier, but as a friend of Valora." Elias reached out slowly and touched it. The light sank into his skin, leaving no mark, only a warm feeling that stayed in his chest. "I don't know what to say," he admitted. "Say what you always say," the queen replied gently. He smiled. "I was just doing what felt right," she nodded, "and the universe answered." When the ship finally reached Earth orbit, Elias stood by the window and looked down at the blue and green world below. It looked the same as always and completely different. Lyra stood beside him, quiet and glowing. "So this is your home," she said. "Yeah," Elias replied. "A little loud, a little messy, but it grows on you." "I think," she said, "our worlds will grow on each other." They watched as smaller Valoran ships moved into place near human stations, their soft light blending with the sharp, steady glow of human technology. Two kinds of stars, sharing the same sky. Later, on the surface of Earth, Elias walked again. Slowly, carefully, with a small support brace on his leg and the open air on his face. A crowd stood nearby, humans and Valorans together, watching the sky, talking, pointing, wondering. Lyra stood a few steps away, speaking with human children, her glow changing colors as they laughed and asked questions. Elias leaned on a railing and breathed in the smell of trees and water and warm ground. The Star Queen stood beside him, her light soft in the Earth sun. "You gave my people a new story," she said, "one where the universe is not something to fear." Elias shook his head. "I think the universe gave me one too," she looked at him. "What story is that?" "That even someone small," he said, "even someone hurt and tired can still matter." The queen smiled in a way that made her light ripple like water. "That," she said, "is the oldest story of all." As the sun set, painting the sky in orange and pink and deep blue, human and Valoran lights began to glow together. Elias watched Lyris laugh with the children. He watched ships move slowly across the stars. He felt the warm marker of light in his chest, steady and calm. The world had not changed because of a great battle. It had changed because one person chose to walk instead of turn away. And as night fell over Earth and Valora and all the space between them, the story of an injured human soldier and an alien princess became something more than a tale. It became a path. One that two worlds would walk together, step by step, into a future that felt a little kinder, a little brighter, and full of stars waiting to be shared. Milky Way.